Welcome to episode 43 of My Views Extended. I'm your host, Nadia, and thank you for joining me this week. You can listen to My Views Extended, the podcast, at nadiadanella.com. You can also listen to this on YouTube, where closed captioning is available. My YouTube channel is at Nadia Donella, NADIADONELLA, on YouTube. You can also keep up with me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. If you have any questions, you can contact me at myviewsextended@gmail.com and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And as always, I will leave links to all social media sites in the show notes. If you've listened before or have been to nadiadanella.com, my blog, you know that not only do I love bees, I'm more than a little obsessed with them. Like, I could just watch them doing their thing and buzzing around and take a bazillion pictures of them. I just love them. I love bees. So I'm sad but not really surprised to hear that in the US, bees have been placed on the endangered species list. On that list, there are now for the first time, seven yellow-faced bee species in Hawaii. Apparently, the first for any bee in the US. And the cause of this bee species decline are feral pigs, invasive ants, loss of native habitat due to invasive plants, fire, as well as development, especially in some of the coastal areas of Hawaii. And this is according to Serena Jepson, Director of the Endangered Species and Aquatic Programs for the Portland, Oregon-based group. Sad. I love bees and it's sad. If you pay attention to them, you would definitely have noticed that over the last, I'd say maybe 5-6 years, that every year, especially if you don't live in a place that's warm all of the time, every year, spring and summer, you just see them, the amount that are fluttering around your garden or in public gardens, public spaces, it's just less and less every year. So that's sad, but I guess a positive thing is that they are on the endangered list. So now maybe the government will enforce companies to change some of the habits and some of the habits that are causing the declines in the bee populations, and not only in the US but around the world. More genetically modified fruit. Great or not so great. A third non-browning genetically modified apple has been approved by the USDA. The Animal and Plant Inspection Service of the USDA has granted deregulation status to the Arctic Fuji developed by Okanagan Specialty Fruits of Summerland, BC. Disappointed Canada and disappointed BC. The Fuji joins the Arctic Gold and the Arctic Granny Smith varieties as deregulated and deemed as safe and nutritious as conventional apples by APHIS. The company will seek approval of the Arctic Gala next year, hoping for approval in 2017 or 2018. Non-browning, I think I've said this before, eat the apple in a timely manner, or squeeze a little bit of lemon or lime juice or vinegar. Just rub a little bit on it and that'll pretty much keep it from browning. But anyway, who am I? A lot of what we eat is definitely and will continue to be genetically modified. Is there really much that we can do to stop it? I really don't know. It doesn't seem to be, since big businesses will always have more money, more resources, and better lawyers than the average citizen. But I definitely do believe that we control what we buy, and this can start with local products or simply leaving what is genetically modified on the shelf. It's the same concept when you see a product that is way overpriced sitting on the shelf or in the freezer section month after month after month, and I've seen it. I'm not going to name the product or the brand. And in the end, I think it might take a year, but the stores will either lower the price or stop bringing in the product. Do you try to stay away from genetically modified products, or do you just concentrate on what looks the best or what the best price of the product is? I do try and stay away from genetically modified food, and I guess this Arctic, what is it? The Arctic Fuji will now be on the list. Anyway, starting October 3rd, 2016, which should be Monday, today, you're hearing this tomorrow though, the pit bull ban in Montreal, Quebec will go into effect, even though opponents of the ban are planning a court appeal. And this ban occurred on September 27th, 2016, going into effect October 3rd, 2016. What does this mean? This means that it will be illegal to own a new pit bull after October 3rd, 2016, and this includes any mixed pit bull breed or dog that looks similar to a pit bull, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. So basically, if there were 4 generations ago that, there was a pit bull in the mix, but none since then, and the dog has some characteristics of a pit bull, then they, according to this legislation, they are classified as a pit bull. Anyway, next, grandfathered pit bulls must be registered by the end of the year, end of 2016. Proof of sterilization, microchipping, and proof of vaccination must be received. They must be muzzled and kept on a short leash when outdoors. And not following these rules can lead to confiscation and euthanization of your pit bull. I use this word a lot because a lot of things in life are ridiculous, but then I really think this ban is ridiculous. If you are a responsible pit bull owner, what is the issue? Any dog, regardless of breed, and who has had a history of aggression towards people, should be euthanized or kept on some kind of property or establishment away from humans. I'm not objecting to that. But that's any dog, not just a pit bull. And, some may disagree, but I think that is a valid point. If a dog attacks people for no reason or was bred purely to attack, and you have irresponsible owners, a mix of irresponsible owners, then obviously they're not safe. It's not a safe, not only breed, but dog in general around the general public. But pets that are not aggressive, who have responsible owners, this ban is ridiculous. I don't know what else to say. I'll keep abreast of the news to see if those opponents of the new legislation, if their appeal is going to be successful in overturning this new pit bull ban in Montreal, Quebec, starting October 3rd, 2016. I'm on the fence about this next story. It is animal rights activists on trial in Canada for giving water to pigs. And I'm mostly on the fence. Well, I'm not really on the fence. Well, I'm kind of on the fence because if this woman feels that she's doing the right thing, more power to her. She doesn't believe that we should be eating animals. We all know pigs are intelligent beings. They have feelings, etc., smarter than a dog. And people feel that animals are not property, we shouldn't be eating them, etc. On the other hand, some people who are animal activists would, and the extremists obviously, would take it to the next level and would actually poison the water that would be given to the pigs to make a point. The driver, who when she went to give these pigs water at their stop when they're, in a truck on the way to the slaughterhouse, told her, "Don't do it. I don't know what's in that water. Get away from the truck." The driver had no idea what was in the water or what could have been in that water. It could have poisoned the pigs, which meant that his shipment and livelihood would have been at risk. Whatever could have been in the water may have possibly affected the pigs, but not enough to hurt them, but enough so that it would make the meat unfit for human consumption. In 2016, in Canada, pigs and animals are considered property, whether you like it or not, or whether you feel that it's right or not. That's how the law is. Do I personally like the conditions that many of the animals, on their way to the slaughterhouse are in? No, but that's the way it is. In a meat eater's world, mine at least, there would be, the animals would be kept in open fields, they'd be grazing day and night, they'd be fed the best foods, not injected with hormones, they would be stunned before slaughter, so they had no idea what was going on. But that's not the case in many, if most, cases, from farm, factory to table. That's not the case in most of it. So I am very careful about where I purchase my meat from, and that's one of the reasons why I don't eat out a lot, because I just don't know where the meat has come from and the conditions and all that stuff and what they've been fed. So like I said, I'm on the fence. I don't know when it comes to her. Did she do the right thing? She's going to have to face the penalties of a maximum of 6 months in jail or a $5,000 fine if convicted on charges of criminal mischief. Whether the pigs are property or food is a different matter altogether. And I know this is going to make a lot of you mad, but that is how the world works right now. I don't know. On the fence. I thought that this was interesting and possibly fun if you are looking for kidney stone relief. and kidney stone relief through roller coasters. A professor at the University of Michigan led a study that may give some patients relief when they are in the midst of passing a kidney stone or kidney stones. The study came about when patients were telling him that they passed a kidney stone after a particular ride at Disney World. So, taking this information that he heard from a few different patients, him and his team created a synthetic 3D model of a hollow kidney complete with 3 kidney stones no larger than 4 millimeters inserted into the replica. He took the model in a backpack on Big Thunder Mountain at the theme park 20 times. There's also a pilot study where sitting in the last car of the roller coaster showed about a 64% passage rate of the kidney stone, while sitting in the first few cars only had a 16% success rate of passing the kidney stone. Apparently, and according to the study, the type of ride matters as well. Too fast and too violent with the G-force that pins the kidney stone into the kidney does not allow it to pass. The ideal roller coaster is rough and quick with some twists and turns, but no upside down or inverted movements. So riding roller coasters are also great for maintenance after the original kidney stone or stones has passed. And you know what? If it works, great. Go for it. Try it out if you happen to live out there. But I personally will pass on that kidney stone remedy. I am not a fan of roller coaster rides. I am one of those people who sits on the bench nearby holding jackets and drinks. I have no desire to make my stomach roll on purpose. Maternal deaths of U.S. women on the rise. I keep hearing it on the news and in articles that 2016 is the safest and healthiest it has ever been for human beings, despite all the bad things that we're hearing in the news, whether, health-wise, crime, violence, etc. But according to the American Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology and the World Health Organization, maternal death is on the rise across the United States. And in the study by the American Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology, they focused on the state of Texas. They found that pregnancy-related deaths had doubled from 2010 to 2012. 148 Texas women died from pregnancy-related problems. 72 died in 2010. The study found that the increase occurred around the same time that the state decreased funding for women's health programs, including Planned Parenthood. According to WHO, the World Health Organization, the top 3 reasons across the world for maternal death: hemorrhages, sepsis from childbirth, and unsafe abortions. And the health experts do not know why, which is kind of scary. Putting out all these studies and statistics, and they're just guessing why. So possible reasons and factors are, and I think this is very important, systematic problems of failing to provide affordable, accessible, quality health services to all women in the United States. And I interpret this to mean that where you live in the country, and this can change from one end of the city to the other, the more money you have, the more education you have, and that along with your race can have an outcome of the quality of care that you receive, if you receive any at all. All of these organizations are still working on the whys, and more reports are pending sometime, well, they said September, but anyway, more reports are pending from the centers that are studying these unfortunate results. So yeah, I'll leave some links if you want to keep up with what is going on since this study and what's going to hopefully come out for the rest of 2016 and beyond. Let me just say that women's body talk is coming up in this segment. So if you don't want to hear it, or if you have kids that you don't think should hear about women's body issues, skip ahead to the next segment. And of course, as always, I'll have everything numbered so you can just click ahead to the next segment. I always knew that vaginal childbirth could mess you up, but I did not know that it could be this bad, and I'm a little horrified reading this. Yikes. And I'm sure that what I will talk about next happens to a lot more women than we know, but embarrassment keeps them quiet. This article focuses on vaginal birth, injuries, and the fact that our OBs are not trained to deal with discovering or treating these vaginal birth injuries, and how so many women are embarrassed to talk about them, ask for help, and therefore just resign themselves to the "this is just what happens" mentality. And there's actually quite a few articles and studies. Let's see, Dr. Oz, The Good Life, online library Willie, ajog.org, and NCBI. And I will leave links to all those, of course, in the show notes. So let's carry on. During a vaginal birth, muscles and other tissues stretch and often tear, as something the size of a cantaloupe is forced through the opening that is normally the size of a carrot. Sometimes pelvic bones crack under the duress. That last part is horrific. I'm good where I am in life. Thank you. Oh, Lord. Anyway, pull it together. Okay. In 2015, the British Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology reported that 24% of women were still experiencing pain during sex a year and a half after having a baby. Other studies have found that 77% of more than 1,500 mothers studied had persistent back pain a year after having their babies, and 49% had urinary incontinence. Those numbers are crazy to me, and the fact that it doesn't have to be that way is ridiculous. Because like I said earlier, so many women think that it's okay or it's normal, that's just what happens, and life goes on. And what's even worse than women believing that is that the medical personnel, our OBs, have no knowledge or very little knowledge or idea of how to treat these conditions. I'm just perplexed. Like, how do you specialize in the vagina, but you can't help these women, or at least diagnose it and send them to people who specialize in it? I'm more than annoyed. Stephanie Prendergast, an MPT and co-founder of the Pelvic Health and Rehabilitation Center in Los Angeles and co-author of Pelvic Pain, says that muscles and other structures of the pelvis usually get scarce attention. Contrary to what one may think, OB-GYNs are not trained to evaluate pelvic floor muscles or nerves, even though they work in this region. Absolutely outrageous. Ridiculous. This is crazy. If I'm honest, if I had to deal with these issues, I have not, because I have not given birth. If I'm honest, these issues would be embarrassing, but I know that I would not be okay with constant pain or urinating and not having control over it, having no control over your bowels for the rest of your life. That is not okay. If your doctor is not listening to you, keep talking, keep bringing it up, or find another doctor who will. And I know that's a lot harder because sometimes you live in rural areas, or the doctor shortages in your country or city. There's just not a lot of doctors or specialists, or if your doctor's not listening, insist on a referral. This is your body, this is your life. Most of us who have these conditions don't have to live like that. That's control. That's gonna affect how you parent, how you deal with your partner, how you socialize, how you work. Reading this article, one lady didn't even go back to work because she couldn't control the flow of her urine or control her bowels. Didn't go back to work because of that. There's no reason to have to live like that. And this is a super long article, so I will leave a link and the links to the other studies in the show notes that the article speaks about. And if you wish to look into it further, go ahead and look into those links. I'm just shaking my head like I just can't believe it. That's ridiculous. 2016 and women are still just keeping quiet and just, that's a lot of a woman. No, that's not the lot of a woman. Anyway, I am going to, the rant is back this week, and I don't know if it's going to be back forever because I don't always have something to rant about. The rant is back for this week, and it's about how so many adults do not know how to cook. And I'm not talking about 5-star Michelin star cooking skills. I'm talking about people being 35, 30, 25 years old, and they don't know how to put a meal together for themselves. And I don't know whether to be mad at you or be mad at your parents, maybe both. Maybe give each of your parents a running slap. Yes, picture it, a running slap. Take a second. I'll give you a moment. Don't be offended by what I'm saying, just do something about it. Basic cooking skills, it is about being self-sufficient. It's part of the basic life skills package. Cooking, cleaning, changing a tire, mowing a lawn, laundry, knowing where the fire extinguisher is and how to use it. This isn't a male or female thing. This is a life skills issue. I know people who left home at 18 and did not know how a washing machine worked. They had to be taught how to do laundry. Some people cannot boil rice, cannot boil pasta. They don't know how to make a basic pot of soup so they can eat something somewhat nutritious throughout the week. What is going on? My maternal granny, I would definitely say, was ahead of her time. All 8 of her kids could cook, and that's 4 boys and 4 girls. Clean, sew, collect the eggs from the chicken house. You get where I'm going. All of them may not have enjoyed learning each skill, but they could all make it on their own when they eventually left the nest. Cooking and baking is not hard at all. But like anything else in life, if you say that I can't cook, it's too hard, then it probably will be. Clear some time in your schedule, get all of your ingredients together. And when I say clear some time, I'm not talking about an entire afternoon. Clear an hour, a half an hour. Get all of your ingredients together, open up your recipe book or your page or your YouTube page. Check mine out, Nadia's Kitchen Creations on YouTube, and just try. You'll be surprised at how good your food turns out. And you know what? If it's not perfect, most food mistakes are edible. You just won't cook or bake it that way again if it didn't turn out the way you want. It's a skill, and each time you do it, you're going to get better and better. Did you grow up knowing, these basic life skills, or did you have to learn on your own? Because I know a lot of parents, unfortunately mothers, didn't chase their kids out of the kitchen, didn't have them do their own laundry, didn't even, had them going into college and never making up their own bed, which is, anyway, that's another issue that I'm not impressed about. Did you grow up learning, knowing these basic life skills, or did you have to learn on your own? Are you still learning how to be self-sufficient, or are you okay, because many people are you okay with not knowing how to be self-sufficient and are happy when it comes to food, at least, with being with eating ready-made or microwavable meals? I'm really curious to know, because it's just, I don't understand. I don't understand how you don't know how to do these basic things, but I don't know. That's just me. Quote or saying or thought of the week. This week it is a quote by Winston Churchill. You have enemies? Good. That means you've stood up for something sometime in your life. Listen, most of us do not want enemies. I think, most of us with normal thought processes, we don't want enemies, because sometimes those enemies, unfortunately, will try to do us harm physically. But thankfully, those enemies are only trying to harm us and will only harm us through words. Whether that is bad mouthing you to others, maybe preventing you from getting a good job, or, especially in this day and age of the digital world, typing horrible things about you or your work or your family online, or just having bad thoughts or wishing for bad things to happen to you or your family. The good thing about all of that, the enemies and what they say or do to you, is that it really doesn't affect you. As long as you keep working hard, keep your eye on the prize, keep your trajectory going up, none of that matters. Keep your eye on your goals. You know what you have to do. Just do it. You have enemies? Good. That means you stood up for something sometime in your life. Winston Churchill. What I'm grateful for this past week. For all of my health issues, aches and pains, and they unfortunately are a lot, they could be worse. I could be in a wheelchair. I could be completely bald. I could have severe cystic acne. I could be in a mental institution. I could be on the street. I could have an empty food cupboard and fridge. But thank goodness things aren't worse and those needs are being met. My health issues are not the greatest, but they could be worse. I am being proactive and doing what I need to do in terms of medical intervention and prevention, so I'm just going to be grateful for the health and physical things that I do have. I'm working towards better things in life and career, and definitely in health, and at least a halt in the terms of my health deteriorating. So I'm just grateful for another day and another opportunity. That is what I'm grateful for this past week, and definitely into the future. Thank you for tuning into episode 43 of My Views Extended. I would love to hear feedback and comments of what you think of this podcast and the topics that I've discussed this week. You can listen to My Views Extended at NadiaDanella.com and on YouTube at Nadia Danella, where you can subscribe, like, rate, and or leave a comment, and where closed captioning is available. I would also love it if you would share this podcast on your social media sites. I will leave links in the show notes, and as more listening platforms are added or changed, I will let you know. Till next time, this is Nadia.